Hey, before we start this video, just wanted to quickly apologize for the fact that I haven't been uploading as much in the past few weeks. College work is taking a lot of time for me and I haven't really gotten as many ideas as I wanted to properly develop before. But now I hope that November and December can be hype as fuck. I have so many videos planned out in the future. So without further ado, let's move to this one because this one is juicy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is me, ya boy, man who has officially become addicted to gacha gaming. And today, we're going to technically make a sequel of our Grand Slam Ascend Copycat Extravaganza Bonanza. If you guys remember, a few months ago, I made a video about how a duo by the name of Edelreader had copied a track by the name of Sand by Desert Star, back then called J Cosmic. Ever since then, I've received information about a very interesting copycat situation, a very interesting rip-off case that is in some way tied to that original video. So without further ado, let's move straight to the main video because again, like always, I have completely forgotten how to make a YouTube intro. Now, the information in question came about when a person by the name of Karanandi commented on that Grand Slam video saying that they had a story to a very similar situation. For a long time, this person really didn't listen to music using your traditional streaming platforms, which I get. They fucking suck. Pretty much what they did was just grab a few songs that they like, downloaded them, and listened to them as MP3s. They say that the only real big compilation slash album slash whatever you want to name this that they were listening to was the contingency contract free soundtrack from the video game Arknights, a gacha game developed by Hypergriff. I think I'm saying the name correctly. Hypergriff. I think I'm saying the name correctly. I hope I'm saying the name correctly. If you're new to this channel, yeah, I suck with names. They pretty much fell in love with this soundtrack. The instrumentals, the vocals, the samples. They didn't even know anything about the game, but the songs were so good that they just decided to listen to them, which again, I get it completely. One of my favorite games of all time is Ridge Racer Type 4, and I was only able to play it last year, but I was listening to the soundtrack for so long because of how great it is. In this situation, they figured out that a track had been deleted from the soundtrack. That track winning the award for one of the weirdest titles that I have seen, because it's called, I'm not cheating, ccs3b1. Like, I'm sorry, that is not a track title, that's a fucking nuclear launch code. Now, this song is uploaded onto YouTube, and in there, in the description, there was a reason as to why. It was deleted because it was a ripoff of a track named Strayer by the artist Taishi. And if you remember, Taishi is half of Edelreader. Now, this person, Karanandi, decided to listen to this track and they fell in love. They decided to listen to the entirety of the Taishi discography, and this is where they found out about the other half of Edelreader, Nhato. So imagine how happy they were when they found out that these two names that had grown so much in enjoyment had a duo together. Like, they were in bliss when they found out about this information, listening to their album and the EP, the one that has Grand Slam in it, supposedly. See, the problem started when they started to port those tracks more recently to streaming platforms, and they found out that Grand Slam was unavailable anywhere. And they were wondering why. Something definitely happened, but what was it? Well, they started to look up what happened, and by pure chance, they found my another copycat situation video where I talk about Grand Slam and how it copied Ascend. They were bummed out. Two of their favorite artists of all time copying a song when one of them was a victim of plagiarism themselves. It's just, you can understand why they were really fucking sad when learning about this information. Now, when I found out about this, I immediately apologized. The point of that video was not to, say that they were unoriginal hacks, even if I probably did say that at some point. I have fucking awful memory. I just really wanted to talk about how these two tracks sounded very much alike, but I still hold a lot of respect for both Taishi and Nhato. I listened to Strayer because of this, tale that this person, Karenandi, talked about, and I really enjoy that song. Plus, I haven't really heard that much of Nhato, but the only track I've heard from them was a track called Desert Years with Yanagi, which is like one of my favorite vocalists of all time, and I enjoyed that song as well. Taichi and Nhato have talent, which is why I said that, it felt weird having these two very talented names copy a track that blatantly. But this whole thing was not about Grand Slam exclusively. This was also about that CCS track from Arknights. And is that track a ripoff? That was the question that I asked myself. So I decided to listen to it, and oh boy, let me fucking tell you. No, let me not fucking tell you. I actually have a special guest that I brought in specifically for this video. Mr. Soldier Boy, could you pretend to be Taichi for like 2 seconds real quickly and, explain this whole Arknight situation?
He copied my whole fucking flow! Word for word, bar for bar!
Thank you, Mr. Soldier Boy. I shall now buy your video game console. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a 1-to-1 direct copy. The Arknights song blatantly rips off Strayer. Don't believe me? Here's a few examples of how fucking similar these songs sound like. Tell me you can hear it, because I'm losing my fucking mind with this. The Arknights song, like CCS, copies this track so fucking much, it makes both my Grand Slam and my Crossfire video sound like I was talking out my fucking anus. This is one of the most blatant rip-offs I've ever heard in my life. Like, how did this even fucking pass quality check? I decided to do a little fun experiment when I first found out about this. I put both of these tracks on FL Studio, and the waveforms are the same. The fucking Arknights one is like mimicking the other one so much. The only big difference between Strayer and ccs3b1 is the fact that the Arknights track has to loop itself, being a video game song, so obviously it's going to fucking extend all the fuck out of itself. It's just, I'm fucking mesmerized by this. And I'm not talking about that Vocaloid song I talked about in August. And you wanna know what's funny? Is that this motherfucking stupid ass situationship, whatever the hell you wanna call this happened twice on this soundtrack. There is a second song that does exactly the same thing, ccs3b2. This one copying Calling by the artist Rejection. Now that's a fun name for an alias. That sounds like what I would come up if I named myself after what happens every time I try to ask a girl out, And again, if you put both of these tracks on FL Studio, the waveforms are the same. Holy shit. Now, when you listen to all of these tracks, obviously there are two big things that will stand out to you. First of all, the Arknights tracks are obviously in a different key than the originals that tried to rip off. I'm assuming that this is a strategy made by the original composer to kind of disguise the fact that these tracks are rip-offs. Like, just like a cheap excuse that can sometimes happen when there's this sort of like a direct rip-off. But like, again, you just go onto like a DAW, you pitch them up or you pitch them down, and you hear them being the same track. But the second point, and the one that I really want to stress, is the samples used in both CCS tracks. They are so fucking low quality. Listen to the original tracks for both Strayer and Calling, and you'll see that the basses, the vocals, the synths, everything used on those tracks makes sense, because those are tracks made with those things in mind. The Arknights tracks, though, they use some of the worst fucking samples I've ever heard. They are poorly mixed, they sound god-awful, because they're just there to mimic how the original tracks sound like. Not only are these rip-offs, they're just shit music in general, even if they were original tracks. Like, I'm seeing people in the comment section of both of these tracks saying that they've heard both the original tracks that were copied and the Arknights tracks, and they prefer the Arknights tracks. Now, I know I am not supposed to, make fun of other people's music tastes, I know damn well they would make fun of mine, and I would cry for like 12 hours straight, but do you really expect me to believe that people would rather listen to cheap rip-offs rather than original 10 out of 10 bangers? Now, like I said before, both of these tracks were deleted from the soundtrack, and you would think that that's it. The story is over. It ends at that point. What else could there be? See, I thought the exact same thing, but it goes deeper. See, the person that originally told me about this situation, Karanandi, did also say that there was a theory around the Arknights community that this was made intentionally. This was something that was done on purpose. Obviously, this is a massive accusation to be made, so after some research, I found out that yes, that is the narrative that is most common about these two tracks. But what do they mean with this was made on purpose? Well, let's take what this Reddit thread here has to say as pretty much the biggest source of evidence as to, what happened. This centers around the composer of those two tracks, Mishian, who, according to the people, fucking hated Arknights. I'm talking like professional hating. I'm talking Kendrick Lamar versus Drake hating. Waking up extra early in the day to hate for more time hating. Some of the shit that this guy said about Arknights players. Holy fuck. So you might wonder, how the fuck did a person that hates this game so much find themselves making tracks for the game? This was a plan set up by Mishian to try and destroy the game from the inside. They thought that maybe having this game have like a copyright infringement situation would lead to things like the players stop playing the game because they don't want to be associated, to developers having to pay a hefty fine and maybe not invest the game as much, the game being shut down because of fucking legal issues, whatever the hell the reason was. If this made people stop playing Arknights, then the plan would have been successful. So what did Mishian do? Well, they decided to submit some tracks to Hypergriff being like, hey, I'm a composer, I want to work with you, I make songs like this, this, and this. Hypergriff did not know about their plan, obviously, so they were like, well, you know what? Your songs sound good. You can work for us. Then, when the contingency contract-free soundtrack was in production, Mishian themselves were the ones that brought in the reference tracks. This is where the tracks Strayer and Calling came from. Now, Mishian saw this and decided to, instead of making original tracks based off of those, to directly copy them and then submit them to Hypergriff, which would later put it on the soundtrack. This would make it so that afterwards, when both, I think it was like 80 tracks, or like when both the labels that have released those tracks noticed that, they would go after Hypergriff for copyright infringement, and boom, the game is now ruined. However, that's not exactly what happened. Hypergriff was very quick in acting on all of this. They immediately removed the tracks, blacklisted and made it so that Mishian could never work on the fucking game again, apparently made it so that now they can no longer make soundtracks for any other game, because now their reputation is that one motherfucker that headed Arknights and then tried to make copyright infringement a thing. So funny hearing how this story unfolded, because it's such a stupid thing in general. Like, someone that hated something so much to try destroying it from the inside, and they failed. Like, it's hilarious. You can make like a movie out of this shit. So that was pretty much it. That was the end of the story, and now Arknights is still a thing that gathers a lot of popularity. And the more that I'm thinking about this, there's definitely other ways that Nishian could have tried to make it so that Arknights stopped fucking being popular everywhere. Like, you didn't need to go through all of that and risk your own career to make a game be less popular. Just like, I don't fucking know, like, put it down in the comment section, because I literally cannot think of anything. Put it in the comment section what you would do to ruin a gacha game like Arknights for everyone, really. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry if this isn't the best video that I've ever made. I also kind of noticed that. Just hope that it was good enough for your enjoyment. Like I said in the intro, I have a lot of things planned out. I want to talk about so many albums, EPs, compilations, tracks. I already have a Word Songs video planned right here on my mind. If you follow me on Blue Sky, you probably sort of kind of know what song I'm talking about. Like I said as well, on my songs I've heard in October video, like, so many good music was released last month. So many good music has been released this year, and I'm really trailing behind. So I really want to talk about those releases as well. Keep an eye out for that. And like I said, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and see you next time, where I am not fucking sweating because I decided to try to record this like 5 or 6 times.